What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the show. My name is Dustin Apple, hashtag White River Rambo. Please go follow my Facebook, Dustin Apple. You'll see the shop logo on there. We're trying to get that up to 35K. Today's video is all about boat and fuel gauge sensors, okay? How to make them work with your gauge cluster and the things you need to know, okay? There's a couple things that you need to understand as far as wiring goes and the different variations on tank sensors. So let's jump into today's video. One of the most common misconceptions, and a lesson that I had to learn the hard way, is this is a sending unit, okay? It doesn't require power. So even though you may have a black and a white or a black and a red, the black is the ground. However, the red is not to power, and you do not put power to it. This is the sending unit wire, and if you look on the back of your gauge cluster here, you'll have an I, a G, and an S. Now the S signifies the sender unit wire, okay, and we'll apply that right here. The ground wire needs to be grounded to the battery, and the I wire is your ignition. So when you turn the key to on, that is what sends out the proper ohms through this, and it gets a reading through the sending unit, and it's only on when the key is on. For this test, we will be taking our ignition wire and hooking it directly up to our battery to signify a key on switch. The only other terminal up here is for the light, which is behind this tab right here, just a little bulb that backlights the entire gauge cluster, okay? And you absolutely can, and most people do, just hop this over to the ignition because, well, there's no need to have it backlit without the ignition on, and, well, if the ignition's on, you need to be able to see it. So most people just jump a wire from here over to the ignition wire and makes your light glow in the back. So I'll tell you what, before we get any further, I want to talk about the differences in ohms ratings on some of these. Now, there's a handful of charts online. Just know that most marine applications are 240 empty and 33 full. I think that's right. But some automotive applications might be 0 empty and 33 full, or 16 empty and 70 full. And you can imagine if you get the wrong gauge cluster or gauge with the wrong sending unit, that you might be a third of the way empty, okay, and it'd be showing empty on the gauge cluster, because if it's reading 16 ohms or whatever, but the gauge cluster has a 0 ohm for empty, then it might be showing that it's, completely empty, when actually the gauge is, when it's down, it actually shows 0 ohms. So you have to match the proper one, and I honestly don't know what these two are. This did come out of a marine tank, and that's what we're working on today, but there are no numbers on it. There's a manufacturer's number, but there's no ohm readings, okay? There's no ohms listed on it. So I am literally going to hook this up and then see what it is all the way at the bottom and see what it is all the way at the top, and hopefully we get a full to empty over here, and that's pretty much going to simplify the process. I don't have to worry about, what the page says from the manufacturer, or if I've got the exact same one. I'm just going to go with the guess and check method on this time. All right, so to help hold our gauge and kind of, prevent our wires from crossing, this is what we're going to look like. So this wire, red, coming off my battery, okay, going to the ignition. My yellow is coming off the signal and hooked to my signal wire on my sending unit, just like I said. And then the ground from the battery goes to G, and then I had another red jumper here, okay, and we jump that down to this. So let's try to put this to where you can see it, and then if I can get my hand down here in front of the camera, you can see that full, like that's stopped, that's full, and then that is empty. So that means that these are the proper ohms reading, my gauge is working, and my sender unit is good. The other thing here that we can check, and I'm not sure if I can even get it to show up on camera or not, but we'll see if our backlight works. I can't tell. Look at there. Just like that came out my hand. Okay, we're back. That tab just needed to be bent to be able to hold it in the hole. And I think with a little bit of different lighting for my camera choice, yeah, you can see that light coming on there. It's not much, but obviously we're in a bright enough scenario to where it's hard to see. So, yeah, it's working. Obviously, I had a hole saw here, and I punched it in some cardboard, and that was pretty nice, right? Especially for that little video clip. To make sure that that is the exact right size, I went ahead with a scrap piece of material in here, and it's very, very tight. Now I made sure that I held that just as still as can be, and as you can see, I lack just a few thou of being able to get this in here. Now there's a handful of ways that you can, go about cleaning this up. This is a deburr tool, and I absolutely could come around here and just do this for just a little while, and when it comes down to the final product, I may actually do that. But another way you can do it is kind of hold your hole saw sideways just a little bit. Okay, sideways that way and then sideways this way. Take the burrs off here, and that's probably going to be enough. Just a little bit of D, and like that is perfect. So, without further ado, let's drill a hole and get it mounted in our console, and I think we're ready for the rest of the build. Hey, thanks for joining me. My name's Dustin Apple, hashtag White River Rambo. Short version today on getting this, fuel tank, the sensor, and the sending unit all lined out, making sure that it's working properly. Give you a little bit of wiring advice. As always, follow the hashtag White River Rambo. Find me on Facebook and Instagram, even TikTok, and I'll see you on the next one.